Jay Lethal, Saddam Singh and Sanjay Dutt versus Orange Cassidy, The Acclaimed, and Daddy Ass. And it was a comedy match, largely, to open up the show. And the big spot at the end was they took out Sanjay. They went for the scissoring leg drop, and it gets thwarted for this guy trying to get thwarted with this guy trying to get thwarted. Finally, they ended up hitting it and pinning him. Scissor Me Timbers, it's called. And then the Acclaim had a stare down with the Guns. And later on in the show, they announced that we have 2 Battle Royals coming up. There will be a regular Battle Royal, and there will be a casino Battle Royal.
Well, it will be a regular tag team Battle Royal.
Yes, the regular Battle Royal.
And then a casino tag team Battle Royal.
And the winners of those 2 matches are going to be joining the Acclaimed and the Guns in a 4-way at the pay-per-view. So that's the pay-per-view match.
So they should have just done the Acclaimed and the Guns. I think adding 2 more teams waters it down.
Well, they wanted to do a bunch of Battle Royals, I guess. So
two more weeks of Battle Royals.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a Bryan Danielson promo talking about MJF and the Iron Man match. We had a Texas Tornado match with Claudio and John Moxley versus Rush and Preston Vance. And, man, they brawled all over the place. Moxley bled. Preston Vance bled. Chairs, tables, whole 9 yards. And finally, Moxley gets a chain. He wraps around Preston's neck. He transitions into an armbar with a choke with a chain and gets the submission. And this did lead to an angle later on, as we'll get to, with Hangman Page. It is going to be Moxley and Page at the pay-per-view in a Texas death match.
Yes.
What they are
so
doing.
We figured Falls Count Anywhere, Texas Death is where they were going. So, in fact, that's where they were going.
Hangman got attacked by the Butcher, Blade, Kip Sabian. Dark Order made the save. We had the first Jim Ross sit-down interview. This one was with Wardlow. And the story is that Wardlow grew up with his father for about 7 years. His father taught him all sorts of things. And then he didn't see his father for the rest of his childhood. Reunited with him later. And then, I guess, when he was a young man, he learned that his father had stage 4 cancer, and his father was able to make it to his first indie show, but then he passed away. And because his dad had long hair and a beard, after that first show and after his dad's death, Wardlow's decided, I'm growing my hair and my beard out. And he had his hair and his beard forever, and he said that Joe knew this story, and that is why Joe cut his hair off. And he says that Joe might have survived every monster, but he was not going to survive Wardlow. It was quite a story they made out of that.
Yeah. I thought they were going to build to a hair match.
Not yet. We had Mark Briscoe and Josh Woods, and the match was fun. Mark Briscoe won, obviously, with the froggy elbow. Did have a lot of near falls, went back and forth. Jay Driller didn't do it. But he got the win, cut a promo to the camera about how he was going to carry on for his brother. And then later they announced that Mark Briscoe is now All Elite. So they have either transferred him to an AEW contract, or he has 2 contracts. I guess we have to find out which one it is.
Yeah.
We had Renee doing the sit-down with Adam Cole, and this guy just came off as the nicest guy on the planet. He's so happy he's almost back. He's so happy he can basically see again and not vomit when he's driving down the road. And he says he has ideas for the AEW roster, ideas who he wants to face, but he's going to keep it to himself for now. So we did not get an opponent yet for Adam Cole.
We're running out of time.
He better have an opponent quick if he's wrestling on this show.
I know. Boy, he doesn't even have a feud or anything.
No, he's picking somebody, apparently.
Okay.
That's the story.
I think this might have been the week to do that. I think we're starting to run low.
So MJF comes out for a promo, and he talks about how he's the best in the world. He's going to beat Danielson. He can't believe Danielson claims he's better than he is. And then he says, I got someone who's going to come out tonight and talk about Bryan Danielson, someone who's known him his entire career. Christopher Daniels, he says, is going to come out and tell the truth about Bryan Danielson. And so Daniels comes out. And he immediately pulls out an envelope and he goes, this guy wanted to pay me to say bad things about Bryan Danielson, but I ain't going to do it. And he throws the money on the ground. And he says Danielson is set to knock your dick in the dirt. And he goes through the history of Danielson and the King of the Indies and how the King of the Indies inspired the creation of Ring of Honor. And without Ring of Honor, there would be no AEW. Without AEW, there'd be no MJF. And so he says Danielson is the guy who MJF wishes he could be. You, MJF, are nothing but a fraud. And so MJF slaps the mic out of his hand, and then Daniels ends up slapping him in the face. So MJF kicks him in the balls, puts him in the salt of the earth. Bryan Danielson runs down to make the save, and MJF bails. I thought Daniels was great in this segment.
Christopher Daniels was really good in this segment, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think actually that was the highlight of the show.
Yeah. That was a good segment. It's a good segment. So then we had Guns celebrating their title win, and they talked about how they had 10 televised matches. Now they're the champions. And so that's the heat. This undeserving team is the champion.
Well, they brought the whole thing. They tried to play up the fact that people were really mad that they won the titles last week because they didn't deserve them and they weren't that caliber and all that. And they're not. But for their level of experience, they're actually doing very well. Max Caster talked about what nepotism and everything. Actually talked about that with
that was in the opening rap.
In the opening rap where he talked about Jeff Jarrett, and he also talked about the Guns, they made a big deal. They'd only had 10 television matches before they won the championship. So there you go.
We had Jack Perry versus Brian Cage, and it was fine. Not as good as some of their previous matches, but
the match they had before this, the more recent one was better than this. Yeah.
We had a crucifix bomb, super kick, roll up. Jack Perry wins, and so he's on the ground. He's going like this. He wants to win a title, and suddenly Christian's music hits, and this was bizarre. Christian comes out on the ramp, and he's got his arm in a sling and a cast. And so this Jungle Boy starts running at him to attack him. So Christian defends himself with mace, and he maces Jungle Boy in the face, and then he takes off the sling, gives Jungle Boy a kill switch on the ramp, and says, "I'm not done with you." This was not at all what I was expecting for the return of Christian Cage. I had ideas, and I'm not mad because they didn't use my idea, but there were a lot of ideas better than what they did here.
I couldn't believe it because I just felt that he should have shown up as a surprise in the middle of a Jungle Boy match and cost Jungle Boy the championship when he was about to win it. And instead of this, where it's kind of like he does this, and I don't know. Is Christian ready for a match at the pay-per-view?
I mean, they shot the angle here, so what would have made sense was some sort of championship match for Jungle Boy at the pay-per-view, whether it's Orange Cassidy or whoever. Christian screws him, and then you do the match like in May or whatever. But the fact that they just did it and shot it here means it sounds like they're just going to get it done at the pay-per-view.
Well, okay. It's a story that they've been building for a long time. They do have to do it. They don't have to do it. I think that but they were going to do it. So, okay. So I guess that maybe that. So I don't know. I think that they should screwed him in a championship match. Problem is that they don't have the only heel champion is MJF. What they could have done. They could have done MJF and Jungle Boy in a television match for the championship and done that finish. That would have been fine. It would have worked perfectly, actually. And you'd hopefully get a television rating out of it to boot.
So we had a segment with the Elite, Don Callis, Nakazawa, AR Fox, Top Flight. They're talking about the All-Star Weekend. And Top Flight and AR Fox want a rematch. And Callis is like, nah, we got better things to do this weekend. And Nick Jackson's like, let's watch the game. And so, Dante...
The All-Star Dunk Contest.
Says, you guys got those basketballs, but you don't got balls. And so they get all upset, and they agree to a trios title rematch on Rampage. And in the middle of this, there was a glitch, which was the House of Black essentially doing a Bray Wyatt cut-in type deal. So it looks like it's going to be House of Black at the pay-per-view.
It is going to be House of Black at the pay-per-view, yeah, against Young Bucks and Kenny, yeah.
We had Hangman Adam Page and Kip Sabian. And mostly just, Hangman beat him, dead-eye. And then afterwards, Jon Moxley comes to the ring with Claudio and Wheeler. And Moxley says, listen, you think we got unfinished business, but I don't. I pinned you. And then Hangman says, come on, you rolled me up, and I don't accept that. I don't think you accept that either. And Moxley says, or Page says, there's only one way to end this. It's a revolution. And Moxley says, I was hoping you would say that. It's too bad you don't need friends to talk you out of this. And that's when the Dark Order comes out. And they get in the ring. And Page tries to get in front of Evil Uno and tell them, I told you guys, don't come out, don't come out. Evil Uno shoves him out of the way. He gets in the face of Jon Moxley. And he says, I'm not afraid of you. And Moxley's just looking at this guy like, who's this clown in a purple suit and a mask on? And so he talks right past him, and he tells Hangman Texas Death Match, and Evil Uno's still trying to talk to Moxley. So clearly we've got a trios match here, probably coming up next week on Dynamite, or at some point soon. And Hangman's upset at Evil Uno, although I don't quite know why, because Evil Uno didn't try and stop him from doing this match. And... This was odd, but we did set up two matches.
Yeah, Moxley's wrestling Evil Uno next Wednesday, which is weird because it's like...
Dude, they literally were standing like shoulder to shoulder to do a six-man.
Yeah, it's Moxley and Evil Uno, and it's like Evil Uno doesn't have the cred for that, but, I don't know.
That's why it would have been better as a six-man.
Yeah, it would have been better as a six-man. It would have been better as a six-man for sure. Just get Moxley and Adam Page do some, big hot spots leading up to their Texas Death Match, yeah.
We had the Jericho Appreciation Society backstage. So the story, if you're wondering why Ricky was running the gauntlet, and even though he was going through three guys, Jericho gave him the elbow and prevented him from winning the gauntlet, even though if he would have won and been tired, Jericho would have had an easier chance against him. The story is Jericho doesn't want to wrestle him at all. There's not going to be another match. He does not want to give Ricky another shot. He claims Ricky is not on his level. And so Daniel Garcia is going to be facing Ricky Starks on Friday. And he says he's going to prove that he is a fraud, an absolute fraud. We had a segment with Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Stokely Hathaway, who claims he's injured. And in the middle of this, they announced that Hook has been suspended as a result of putting his hands on Stokely Hathaway.
He's been suspended pending the completion of an investigation as to what happened. So it's playing off the suspension of Omega and the Bucks and Punk.
And then the main event was Ruby Soho, Toni Storm, and Britt Baker. And the story here is that we've got the outsiders, we've got the homegrown talent, and then we've got Ruby Soho, who essentially is an outsider, but she has not decided what side she wants to be on yet. And so that's the story they're telling here. And Saraya's out there, and it's a three-way, so there's no disqualifications here in AEW. So Saraya's on the outside for most of the match, and then with 2 minutes left, she just gets in the ring and starts attacking people. And she spray painted the L on Toni Storm's butt, and then she did the hip attack on forget who she hit in the corner with the hip attack.
I think it's Britt.
Ruby ended up throwing Saray outside. She hits Storm, and then she rolls up Britt Baker and pins her. And show ended with Ruby Soho in the middle of the ring. And it looks like she might be getting the title match, potentially.
With Jamie Hayter, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Dude, I don't care what kind of heat she's got on Twitter or whatever. They are beating Britt Baker way too much. Way too much. Now she comes across as like a woman on the roster. And she used to be like far and away the biggest star that they had. She's lost like every single match with the exception of like 2 in the last 6-8 months or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Ruby Soho's getting a title shot at Jamie Hayter, beating Britt's the way to go. But, I mean, they'd spent so much time building up Jamie Hayter and Britt, and now it looks like they just kind of forgot it.
It's just nothing now.
Yeah, nothing there at all. Yeah.
So next week's Dynamite, we have Jon Moxley, Evil Uno, and the traditional tag team battle royal. And then 4 matches announced for Revolution: MJF, Bryan Danielson, Iron Man match, Joe and Wardlow TNT title, Jon Moxley, Hangman Page, Texas Death Match, and the 4-way for the tag titles. And after NXT, we'll go over the Rampage spoilers for
So in Friday. The tag team battle royal, it's the Best Friends, Jarrett and Lethal, Pentagon and Phoenix. So their visa situation was cleared up this week. And in fact, they even did a dark match at the end of the show, besides that brief run-in that they did. And a Butcher and Blade, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, Silver and Reynolds, and Tony Nese and Arya Daivari, which is so interesting because they used to have so much depth in the tag team division. And it just feels like, you know, all the good tag teams are not in the tag team division. I mean, you got FTR's on leave, and the Young Bucks are not in the tag team division, and House of Black are not in the tag team division, even though they're, you know...
they should all be in the tag team and the trios division.
For
like,
sure.
if you're going for the trios title, fine.
No
but
top
if you're
flight.
not, you can be going for the tag team titles. Like
No top flight. Yeah. I mean, it's... what other teams are there? You know, I mean, not even like in... I don't know. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz aren't even a team anymore. They're feuding. But yeah, the depth of tag teams in this thing is kind of telling in a lot of ways.
All right, so NXT opened up with Tyler